Welcome to Win the Day from Back to the Bible. I'm your coach, Pastor Nat, and today we will talk about getting our spiritual strength. I recently saw a video of a child being ripped away from a parent before the parent was being arrested. Now, I don't know the context of the arrest, but I do know the pain of the separation was real and traumatizing. The Apostle Paul felt a very similar pain when his spiritual children were ripped away from him. Don't believe me? Let's turn back to 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, beginning in verse 17 to hear what happened. But since we were torn away from you, brothers, for a short time, in person, not in heart, we endeavored the more eagerly and with great desire to see you face to face, because we wanted to come to you. I, Paul, again and again, but Satan hindered us. So what happened to Paul and his spiritual children? Acts 17 has the answer. In Acts, Paul and his team arrive in Thessalonica. They were there for a few weeks when the religious Jews became jealous, so they incite a mob to pursue Paul and Silas. The Thessalonian believers sneak Paul and Silas out of town during the middle of the night. They run for their lives. They travel to Berea and eventually end up in Athens. Earlier in chapter 2 of 1 Thessalonians, Paul compares himself to a mother and a father of these spiritual children. He cares greatly for them. So, much like a parent and child being violently ripped or torn away from each other, Paul says, "That's exactly how I felt. I loved you so much, but we were torn away." The word that Paul uses here for torn away means to be orphaned. Well, Paul is not dead. He longs to see his spiritual children. So that's why he says, in person. We were separated, but not in heart. His heart has continued to care for them. He has been concerned for their spiritual health and their faith. He knows the persecution that was likely continuing. He knows his opponents were spinning lies to divorce them from Paul. So here Paul is saying, don't believe anything that communicates a divorce or abandonment. I love you. I care for you. Though physically distant, my heart, my prayers are with you. And in the end, he knows the conduit for opposition and persecution may be people, but it's really a spiritual battle. That's why in verse 18 Paul writes, "Because we wanted to come to you again, I, Paul, again and again, but Satan hindered us." Hindered is a Greek military term that means to dig a ditch or to tear up a road. It's like someone blowing up a bridge or creating a chasm that couldn't be traversed. Satan, though just one fallen angel, is hard at work today. The Bible describes him as a roaring lion who seeks victims to destroy and devour. But we have to remember, friend, he is not like God. He is not everywhere. He is not all-knowing. He can be resisted, and he will flee from us. I don't know what situation you're facing today. It may be quite different than Paul's pain. But I do know that the battles we face are ultimately spiritual battles. Satan wants us to stop. He wants our spiritual growth to end. He wants us to give up on our faith. He wants to tear up our spiritual path. Well, if we resist the devil, he will flee. So today, pray to God for the spiritual strength you need to win the day. Ask God for the power to resist the devil and his efforts to hurt your faith. We will never be ripped away from God. So let's rely on him today. And when we do, we will win the day.